Hi guys, this is Abdurrahman Gilal. Thank you so much for joining me to learn about web application development. In this course, I will explain you that how you can develop your own web application. But before I explain about the practical things to develop the web application, I'm thinking to explain you that how web application are different from other application. So the first important thing that when I explain to my students about how computer system looks like. So I always say computer system has hardware. Give me a second. Yeah. So computer system has a hardware, which means all the physical things that are basically making the computer. Computer system has a software, which means the state of instruction. Computer system has the users. Computer system has data, because without data, you can't make things happen, right? So these all things are called parts of computer for me to make things system, to make system happen, right? So when I'm saying about software, I'm trying to say that I usually categorize software into two major, categories. So one is called system software, which means I'm saying that the software is basically being developed for system itself, such as operating system, such as operating system. And then there are software which are basically used for users, task purposes. So I would say these are the application software. So for example, I also categorize them into further more categories. So I say this is called desktop application. Desktop means that this is software is being run or running on the uh, client or a local system. For example, I'm using web browser, I'm using this recorder. So when I'm using these all these things, they are using the resources of my system, right? So I would say these are my desktop software. But sometimes I do not use resources of my system. I request from my system, and then some other system is using their resources to respond me about my things. So that type of software, I always say these are the web application software or Netflix software. So when I am using a browser and I am trying to access an application, so I would say this is called web application software. I hope it makes some sense that this is not a difficult thing to understand, that as an application that is running on the web browser with the help of internet is called web application. Right. So how it actually looks like when I sitting on my system trying to use a web browser such as Chrome, and then I'm trying to request Facebook.com. So without internet, I cannot make it happen, right? So I need to have an internet in order to access the Facebook. So Facebook is located somewhere. So Facebook, it is not something zombie. It is a system, actually. It is a hardware. It's a real-time system which has all the files, which has all the logic, which means the business logic, which has all the connections for you to make your request happen. So there are so many things that a server holds. How you reach from this system to that system, for example, this Facebook. So you use a protocol called HTTPS, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and S for secure, right? So when you request, such as you write www.facebook.com, so what happens, HTTP basically is always there, right? So it goes and finds over the internet, and then it identifies this system is basically called HTTPS. So some people know them with the help of the IP addresses, and some people know them with the names. So these domain names are easy to remember. That's why, like most of the time, we use domain names. So when you send something to it, so you got this page. Let me show you the page. So you got this page. Yeah, you got this page when you try to write www.facebook.com, this page. And here you can write any of your things. And then in a second, when you click on login, it basically is being loaded if you see here. So what does it mean? It means that when you try to type in something, and then that one is being loaded into a protocol that is HTTPS, and it goes back to the Facebook and tells with this information FDSDSF and the password whatever I wrote, somebody is trying to request to access the your services. So the Facebook does not remember what you have said. So Facebook sometime or most of the time is connected with another server that is a database server. So the database server stores your things, and then database server responds back to it. Then look, I don't see anybody with that type of information. So here is the computation with a logical way, and it sends back to you, sorry, we cannot find you. If you forgot your password, you click on it. So this basically happens all the way, not at your system, but at the system of Facebook, right? So some scientists say this way that this is the tier number one, which means the client is tier one, and then this is second, and this is third. So sometimes you may say these are the three-tier architecture, which is one of the examples of client-server architecture, right? So sometimes you have only two, you do not have any database sometimes, and sometimes you have more. So when you have more, so you usually say n-tier architecture, which means you are trying to add up all the functionalities which are you are segregating the functionality of a big application into small different server or other servers that can help you, for example emailing server or file server. So many other things can happen basically. So let me quickly explain you from another point of view, that is my famous author that's called Murak so PHP book. Trying to explain you about these things, just to give you theoretical knowledge further about this. So if you try to see, so you are client using the internet going to the web server. You may have email server, and the web server is connected to the database server, which makes a lot of sense. And then when you're trying to use the internet is a complex term. One system is connected to a local system, sorry, local network, and the local network is connected to the wide area network. And then you have these a lot of ISPs and IXPs, and these all work together. So which is not an easy thing to make. So you only have to remember that in order to take the services, you may have an internet connection at your door. Once you have it, so you should basically, be able to access the services of the internet. So web applications, one of the services of internet, right? So you see, you are not directly using web browser on your desktop application. You can use on mobile application. You can use on different applications. Only thing that you have to understand is that when you are trying to develop such type of application, such as Facebook application, so you will have to use different programming languages for each of the things. For example, here you may use HTML. You can use JavaScript. So these are or CSS, for example. So these things will be considered at the web browser or client level. And then when you are trying to code for server, which means responding the services, you may use different languages. For example, PHP is one of the languages. So C Sharp or other languages, Python, so they can help you to develop the server services. And like when you see HTML, that is just the page that is located here, or file located here. When, for example, somebody write facebook.com, so you identified, and then you send a page called index.php, for example. So this page is the first page that you usually see on the screen, right? So let me clear it up. So here you may have another thing. For example, you have a database. In order to work on the database, you use different languages. For example, we can use MySQL or MySQL, server. So we can use SQL as a structured query language. Here we use PHP, and here we use HTML, Java scripting, and then CSS. So these all things go on client, these all things go on server, and this go on cloud databases. So you have to understand one thing. In order to make your web application develop, you need to have a knowledge of those all certain things. There are some tools and techniques that I'll be explaining you throughout this course. So stay tuned with me. I'll try to come back on the first program, that how one can use PHP to develop the server scripts or server things, and how can we basically respond back to the server. So thank you so much. If you got any questions, please do not hesitate to drop me the message or email me. I'll be very happy to explain you. Thank you so much, guys.